The game's just ended. It's about 20 to 10. We like to do these personalised roundups fresh straight after the game so that all the colour and vigour of the match is clear in our minds, as well as some of the passion. My voice is a little bit rough and ready. I apologise for that. It's not because I've been shouting my head off. I've got the tail end of that flu that's been going around, or one of the many flus that's been going around. Anyway, so to the game. At the end, they were chanting, "Are you Wednesday in disguise?" That was hurtful. First 10 minutes, we could have been chanting, "Are you Millwall in disguise?" Because we were better than them, or at least as good as them. And, you know, for the away side to come and take hold of a game by the scruff of the neck for the first 10 minutes is quite a credential. And I think it was pretty clear that we did that. It looked very promising. And we made a change, a big change. It wasn't unexpected personnel coming in, which John Messina is perfectly capable of doing. It wasn't a formation change, which, again, he's got up his sleeve. No, this time it was the simple swap of Bianchini over to the left and Murphy over to the right. So what's the thinking there? Well, it's very obvious that teams now prepare for Murphy by practicing going two on their left winger. That's our left winger. The fullback closes him tight, and then there's a man behind the fullback who will be able to close the ball down if Murphy gets past his fullback and is in a position to get a cross in. And even if he gets the cross in, what the team does is then have a third player, three men, right? The third man is on the near post because they know that Murphy's most telling crosses are delivered at ankle height or knee height. Knee high is about as high as they go. So they get that man on the near post, and his job is to make the interception. So they've got a man trying to close Murphy down to make the tackle, their right back, another man who is doubling up their right back, and then a third player whose job is to patrol the near post and cut out any cross that might be heading the way of Colby Bishop. So that probably gives us some idea of how come things have been a bit sparse for Colby Bishop. One of the reasons, not the reason, not the only reason by any means. Some of them are mysterious and only Colby will know, or Colby and the backroom staff at Fratton Park will know. He hasn't been firing on all cylinders, but clubs are learning how to deal with him. This is what happens in football. Okay, it's like at the very top level, clubs have learned how to handle Haaland. Not particularly well, but better than when he arrived and was scoring a goal every 3 or 4 minutes. So clubs learn, and they exchange information as well. It's important to note, I'm told. So to the game, we were the better side for the first 10 minutes. And some of our players look pretty consummate. Paul is having a great season. It's just a pity he isn't 6'4", because we'll come to defending set pieces in just a moment. Obviously, I was listening to one pair of commentators who simply didn't stop talking about Pompey shipping goals from set pieces and wondering what on earth Pompey can do about it. Well, for me, and I'm old-fashioned in this regard, we just need a couple of bigger centre-halves there at the centre of our defence when the set piece is coming in, because we're not getting there first. The other thing, let's stick with the set pieces. The other thing is, it's long overdue a shake-up in how the referee patrols all the argy-bargy, and it's worse than argy-bargy. It's almost not a fist fight, but the shoving and pushing and holding and swinging around is closer to rugby union than it is to football. It's almost like a melee in rugby union or a maul. And of course, if you're the defending team and you manage to defend the set piece, great. If you're the attacking team and you manage to score a goal from it, great. But if you're the team against whom that works, the fact that when a corner comes in, there are 6, 8, 10 players all fouling each other, or more. Practically everybody in the box has got a job, which is to annoy, irritate, block they call it. again, it's something that they do in gridiron football in America. A player's got the ball and he's running. The other players are allowed to block any of the opponents who are coming in to tackle him, which basically means they fold their arms and charge into them. And that's what goes on in an area concentrated with bodies at a corner kick. How are we going to deal with this? Well, you may or may not know that there is a movement afoot to ban heading in the adult game, in the male game, in the professional game. And that would make corner kicks a very different proposition, wouldn't it? So, but we'll leave that to one side because that would be a major shake-up in the game. It could bring about some improvements in the quality of health after they finish playing of a great many players who not only head the ball a lot during the game, but practice heading the ball a lot during training. Alan Shearer said that he had the tests done, not because of the amount of heading he'd done on the pitch, which was considerable, but because all day long at the training ground he was heading the ball. He wanted it on his head, over his son, on my head, and he would do something with it, bang, with his head on the ball. So if heading goes, corners are going to be very different, and they're going to be less of a melee. And it would suit us at the moment, the way we shape up, yeah, I think, don't you? So we'll come back to the set-piece thing because it played quite a part in the game. What really changed the game round, of course, was Terry Devlin's, I'm not going to call it a moment of madness. Looking at it again and again, it's perfectly clear it was just it was like almost a motor reaction. It was almost like a knee-jerk thing. The ball was going past him into the goal. He couldn't quite get his torso there because it was travelling so fast to block it. And so he couldn't help himself, but he let his arm fly out 6 inches. Penalty, red card, no problem at all. And he knew straight away. He didn't protest it or anything or pretend it had hit him on the chest. You know, you see so many players go, oh, the chest, ref. He knew. He'd handballed it. He knew. He deserved to go off. He knew he was going to go off. And he did that pulling his shirt over his head because he wanted to disappear. He wanted the world to be unable to see him. I mean, it wasn't that bad an error. But what it meant was that we went 1-0 down and we were down to 10 men. And as one commentator said, if he'd just handballed it and the ball had gone in the net, it would have been 1-0 and he wouldn't have been sent off. Yeah. If he'd let the ball go past him and gone into the net, we'd have been a goal down, but we'd have still had 11 men. But in the heat of the moment and the speed of thought that you need to make calculations like that, it's completely impossible. So I say no blame attaches to Terry Devlin for wanting his team to keep a clean sheet and win so much that he did something which he'll probably wake up in the middle of the night and go, ah, or some such, probably louder than that. So 1-0 at half-time and down to 10 men. Peck took the penalty very well. A young lad who really looked like a train spotter. I'm not being personal there. He's one of the few professional footballers I've seen, a young man who doesn't spend his time gelling his hair and having it clipped at the sides and trimmed in the middle and all the rest of it. He just had a very straightforward schoolboy walk back and sides. Didn't look at all imposing, but he took a very good penalty, burying it to Schmidt's right. Schmidt guessed right, couldn't get there in time because it was hit hard. An absolute object lesson in taking a right foot penalty. So 1-0 at half-time, and John Messino is faced with what to say. And I think, frankly, he knew that there wasn't an awful lot that could be done. Okay, teams sometimes pull back a goal when they're down to 10 men. Everton beat Manchester United when they were down to 10 men. That happens, but it's rare, especially in the kind of environment that Pompey were playing in against those Blades. We'll come back to that because it's an important factor, I think. Then the second half started, and you started to notice Patrick Bamford. Now, Patrick Bamford was once something of a stylish, elegant, eye-catching goal scorer who, well, caught the eye, who was flamboyant. He did classy things. Class. He was class. Last night, I thought he'd rather be at home. eating chocolate digestives, watching a box set. He really looked as though he couldn't be bothered. He really looked as though, I'm going to say it, he didn't care. He's a class player. United are glad to have his services. He was mooted as being somebody that Pompey should think about during the close season, if you remember. But Sheffield United got him. I presume that means he can still live at home, wherever it is he lives, up that way. But he wasn't bothered, was he? And then came another set piece, goal conceded by Pompey. This time it was a corner. And their guy, Tang, is it? Forgive me, I should get his name right, so I will. Forgive me, I'm going to get his name right. I shouldn't get it wrong, for all sorts of reasons. Tanganga, rose majestically. His markers had been blocked. This is one of the things that happens in penalties. Attackers who are shielding the player who is supposed to get to the ball. They nominate a player they want to get to the ball. Then 2 or 3 of his colleagues spread out around him and simply barge into other players who are thinking about marking him, hoping to make a challenging jump with him when he gets the ball. And it didn't happen for us. That's one of the things that they're certain to be looking at between now and Bristol. And then it fell to Bamford. And it came in off his knee. And all of a sudden he was awake. He was alive. He'd scored a goal. He wasn't sure whether or not to do a knee slide. It wasn't the kind of goal that augured a knee slide. So I think he didn't do one, but he was certainly very excited because he'd scored a goal. Apparently it was his first goal for anybody since the middle of 2024. Forgive me, just a little bit of cough medicine right there. Well, the game had slipped away from us now, and some substitutions took place, but it was interesting that Lang wasn't risked. I say risked. We want him 100% fit and sharp. There's no point wasting some of his energy on the famous wet and windy night in Sheffield with the rain blustering down and the cold and the wind and a very heavy pitch, I thought. Is it my imagination or does the pitch look heavier in the left wing areas? Did Sheffield United water the left wing areas, thus to impede Josh Murphy? Of course not. That would be underhand. Nobody does things like that in football. But anyway, it was a rough and ready, sticky pitch, I'd say, a sticky pitch. So we didn't risk him, but we gave a few people a run out, and I thought the person who impressed me most was Marlon Pack. He never, ever does anything but give 100% and play 100%. And when he came on, the game was lost. That wasn't important to him. It was important to his pride in his team, his pride in his club, his pride in, I dare say, his city. And he put himself about majestically, barrel-chestedly, always making sure that his pass worked, and it was the right pass. And he'd been thinking about it before he got the ball. He was ahead of the game. And so many of the youngsters and some of the not-so-youngsters in the Pompey team could learn such a lot from Marlon Pack. And then Hammer came on and scored that goal. And it was a goal that was well taken, as were Swanson's and Williams' goals well taken at the weekend. But nobody was closing him down. Everybody was exhausted. Everybody thought, oh, somebody else can give it a go. That's what happens. And so he sent in a rifled, as they say, in a telling, dipping shot past poor old Nico Schmidt. Did nothing wrong. One commentator said that's the second time he's dropped the ball. I didn't think he dropped the ball. It was a bar of soap, that ball. And he was patting it down rather than letting it squirt out of his hands in any direction. That's what keepers do. The ball comes to them and they're not sure if it would be safe to try and catch it. So they pat it down, pick it up on the bounce. If there's not anybody immediately around them, it's safe as houses. That's what I thought happened. The commentator thought different. You may think different too. By all means, drop us an email if you care to. I'm not asking you to or telling you to. I don't want to give you a job. You're busy. But radiopompey@gmail.com is our email address. Radio Pompey, one word, Radio Pompey sheffield@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Sheffield United 3, Pompey 0.